Mystery still surrounds the disappearance of two young children, just 2 and 3 years old, who were last seen more than a decade ago, and there have long been questions about whether their mother, who was with them when they vanished, would face criminal charges. Well, now a Maryland grand jury has once again handed down an indictment against her after she spent years in a psychiatric institution. I'm going to get some insight into the strange case with renowned forensic psychiatrist Dr. Daniel Goldberg. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. This coming September will mark 11 years since 3-year-old Sarah Hoggle and her 2-year-old baby brother Jacob were last seen with their mom in Montgomery County, Maryland. They have never been found dead or alive. And law enforcement and prosecutors, they have long believed that Catherine Hoggle killed her children. She herself was even missing for several days. According to the Associated Press, Hoggle was found wandering in a nearby town, refused to tell the police where the toddlers were, and at first, Hoggle was charged with neglect and abduction, which are misdemeanors. But then in 2017, she was indicted on murder charges. But that prosecution ground to a halt when a judge ruled that Hoggle was incompetent to stand trial and said she had to undergo treatment. Hoggle's defense attorneys say that their client has been assessed by 19 different doctors who have all determined that she's unfit to stand trial. Her attorney, David Felsen, says she suffers from paranoid schizophrenia and delusions and that she has been on medication since she was committed. Now, Maryland law said that Hoggle had to be found competent again within 5 years of being declared incompetent. Otherwise, the criminal charges would be dismissed. That happened in 2022. Here's the thing about it, though. The judge also ordered that Hoggle remain involuntarily committed because she was still considered a danger to herself or others. And then, on July 23, 2025, Hoggle was discharged from the Clifton T. Perkins Hospital Center where she had been committed. It's unclear what exactly led up to her release, but her attorney says she was still under civil commitment, just someplace else. Here's the thing, within days, the Montgomery County State Attorney's Office had refiled murder charges against her, and she was arrested on August 1st. So like I mentioned, Sarah and Jacob, they have never been found, but despite some of their family members saying they believe the children are dead, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children still lists them as missing, and has also released age progression photos that show what the children could look like. Okay, so a lot to get into, including another twist that I didn't even mention. A lot to talk about since what happened in September of 2014 and the years since, especially when it comes to competency and mental health. I want to welcome in forensic psychiatrist Dr. Daniel Goldberg, who's going to go through all of this with me. Dr. Goldberg, thanks so much for taking the time. It's good to see you. We have done several stories that are very similar to this one, in that the defendant's competency is almost immediately called into question and the judge orders that they be evaluated. Are we seeing more concerns about not only a person's ability to assist in their own defense, because that's what we're talking about with competency, but their mental well-being overall? Or is this something you've seen through the course of your career?
Oh, I definitely think it's something I've seen through the course of my career. Remember, competency is a present skill, whereas criminal responsibility is something that happened in the past. And competency can change. You know, one week someone can be competent, the next week they may not be. But the bottom line is people can be restored to competency with time, but there are people that, for reasons of their mental illness, cannot be restored. And just because someone is mentally ill does not mean they are incompetent. But Maryland has this law that after 5 years, criminal charges have to be dismissed. And a lot of people are upset about this.
Do you agree with it? Do you agree with that?
I think it should be longer, honestly. I think people should have more time to be restored to competency. When I see this case, it often reminds me of the Andrea Yates case, who was convicted of drowning her children. People are very uncomfortable with the insanity defense ever since the attempted assassination of President Reagan. When a lot of these laws were changed, they want someone to be held responsible, and they feel like they're giving them a free pass if they say it's mental illness.
Now, to be clear, you weren't involved in Catherine Hoggle's case, but you've had a lot of experience bridging the worlds of law and psychiatry. What does a competency evaluation entail? How long is it? What are the questions that are asked? How do you know whether somebody is actually competent to stand trial?
So it can be a clinical interview. It can be based on, there's a number of instruments that are used. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, you have to determine whether someone can work with their attorney and understand and appreciate the charges against them. That's the bottom line.
Now, to be clear, you made the distinction between someone could be mentally ill but still be competent. If someone's not competent, does that automatically, and it's different from insanity, but if they're not competent, Does that say, hey, there's got to be a mental health issue at play that's going to factor into a defense of some kind? I mean, how many times have you seen cases where somebody is not competent and they move forward with insanity? I mean, they are two mutually exclusive things, but at the same time, if she's not competent for such a significant period of time, doesn't that tell you something?
It tells me that she's unlikely to be restored to competency. But again, I mean, different states handle this differently, and she's still under civil commitment. So the fact she's still under civil commitment means they still believe she's a danger to the community. I don't know what's changed. I don't know why she was re-indicted. If but not for the fact that they thought she was competent, I don't understand it.
Now, to restore them to competency, is that through medication? Is that through counseling of some kind? How do you restore someone to competency?
It's through medication, it's through education, it's through psychotherapy, all of those things.
So look, I know many of you out there are probably true crime enthusiasts, but is anyone also in a business of some kind? If so, let me ask you something. How much time do you think your business team is just wasting in spreadsheets, chasing down receipts, trying to make sense of endless rows of bank statements? Probably too much, right? Well, that is where Odoo Accounting steps in. So Odoo gives users a clean, modern accounting dashboard that shows you exactly what you need: your bank balances, your cash flow, your vendor bills, customer invoices, all in one place. It is intuitive, it's easy to navigate, and for anyone managing their business accounting, it's invaluable. You want to know why Odoo is going to give your business a cutting edge? Well, Odoo uses smart AI with a 98% recognition rate to automatically generate invoices and vendor bills. So all you have to do is just review and validate. That's it. And their bank reconciliation is next level. Odoo connects with over 28,000 banks to automatically match your transactions with your financial records to give you pinpoint accuracy, so there's no more guesswork. You need reports? Odoo's got everything from your balance sheet to your cash flow statements, professionally formatted, instantly accessible. So if you've been doing all of this accounting work manually, you can stop this instant. Automate invoices, vendor bills, accounting workflow with Odoo today. Get a free 15-day trial today at odoo.com/sidebar accounting. Okay, so I want to get into what happened back in 2014 that led to the legal maneuvering all these years later. So according to what multiple law enforcement sources told NBC Washington, in early September of 2014, the children's father, Troy Turner, reported them missing. Now, Turner worked nights, didn't realize at first that the kids weren't where Hoggle had told him they were. And in a twist that might surprise you, Turner and Hoggle have 3 children together, but Hoggle's only accused of harming 2 of them. So the oldest child was 5 when the younger children were reported missing. NBC Washington reports that the 2-year-old, Jacob, was last seen on Sunday, September 7th at Hoggle's mother's house. Hoggle reportedly borrowed her dad's car, telling her parents she was taking Jacob to go get pizza. And when she came back hours later without him, she told them she dropped him off at a playmate's house. But investigators later found out he had never been there. Early the next morning, September 8th, Hoggle reportedly took 3-year-old Sarah to daycare, and at least that's what she told Turner. When she got back home, she said she'd taken both Sarah and Jacob to this unknown daycare. And when Turner later asked her about picking them up, she reportedly refused to tell him where they were. NBC Washington spoke with Turner last year on the 10th anniversary of the children's disappearance, and he told the outlet, quote, "She was able to abduct them while I was at work. When I went to work that day, she was never supposed to be alone with the kids. There was a family plan in place. A family member threw her the keys and allowed her to take my son. When she came back without him, nobody called me. And then, because of that, she was also able to get Sarah later." And get this, after allegedly taking 2 of her children from the home and leaving them in some unknown place, Hoggle herself disappeared. Yeah, NBC Washington reports that Turner tried to take her to the police to report the children's disappearance, and she split. He and Hoggle had reportedly been driving around looking for this new daycare that Hoggle had allegedly taken the kids to when Turner said they needed to go to the police. But Hoggle apparently said she wanted to stop at a Chick-fil-A first to get something to drink. Police actually released video of Hoggle inside that Chick-fil-A, that restaurant in Germantown, while Turner is waiting in the car outside. She sneaks out a back door and walks over to the Germantown Transit Station. Turner ended up calling police, reported all 3 of them, Catherine, Sarah, and Jacob, as missing, and Hoggle was found a few days later in a nearby town having altered her appearance, according to prosecutors, but again, still without the children. She apparently told the police the children were, quote, alive and well, but refused to say anything about where where they might be. Dr. Bober, very unusual behavior, but also makes me think this feels like an element of consciousness of what you're doing. And if we're talking about mental health and we're talking about somebody being deluded, it looks like she's trying to escape, right? I mean, that's an allegation. How can you have delusions and maybe not know what's going on and at the same time allegedly trying to escape? Something's not matching up, no?
Well, it's interesting you say that because in the Andrea Yates case, she had goal-directed behavior, but it was under the influence of a delusion. She killed her children because she believed that if she didn't, they would go to hell. So you can see someone who commits a murder engaging in goal-directed behavior that is under the influence of a delusion. And I think this is going to be a really uphill battle for the prosecution. No definitive crime scene, no autopsy, no bodies, no signs of injury. And in fact, we don't even know that the kids are deceased. They may have been kidnapped. And I think there's going to be an element of reasonable doubt there that the defense is going to be able to introduce.
Do you think her statements give us a preview, a window into anything that might have happened here?
Well, I think she's been shown to be a very unreliable reporter. She's lied, whether that was willfully or whether that was a result of her mental illness. She seems to be a very poor historian.
Could someone, in this state, if they are in the throes of psychosis or in a delusion, what are they experiencing? Again, I don't know exactly what has been going on during this time when she ends up in another town, but what is someone going through in that kind of experience?
Well, they are seeing their own version of reality. They are seeing the world through a distorted lens, through that perception that may be influenced by paranoia or delusion or auditory hallucinations. So what their version of reality is and yours and mine is very different.
By the way, going to Turner, what is it like for him? What is it like for a parent when not only you don't know what happened to your children, or in other cases, you do know what happened to your children, and the blame is on your partner or your wife or your husband? What is that impact to them?
Oh, I don't think that he gets a moment's sleep. I mean, I think he's dealing with the guilt of leaving her with the kids and probably questioning whether that should have ever happened. Not knowing, I think, is probably torture for him. Not knowing the fate of his kids, if they're alive, if they're dead. I think logically he probably feels like they're dead, but as a father, he still wants to hold on to hope. So I think he's going through unimaginable suffering.
There has been a lot of back and forth over the years between court personnel, attorneys, family members about the seriousness of Hoggle's mental health condition. There have been statements made that maybe she's exaggerating her illness to avoid, the consequences for harming her children. But Felsen, again, Hoggle's attorney, told NBC Washington in 2022, two doctors 2.5 years apart have found not only that Miss Hoggle was incompetent or is incompetent, but that she was non-restorable. Dr. Bober, is it possible to fake or exaggerate a mental illness like schizophrenia?
It is possible. There are psychological tests that can help discern that, but it is possible. But it sounds like multiple experts have evaluated her and they found her to be someone with serious mental illness, and a number of them have said that she's not restorable to competency. So I think that that's probably unlikely.
Now, Felsen also told NBC Washington that he doesn't know anything about the children's whereabouts or their conditions, doesn't believe Hoggle will ever be able to reveal what happened, and if she ever did, she couldn't be trusted because, as we've been talking about, she's not credible. Dr. Bober, what do you think of that take?
Oh, as I said, I mean, I think whether it's as a result of her mental illness or whether she's willfully or volitionally lying, it remains to be seen. It's very difficult to know. It's very difficult to get inside her head and know what's going on. And because she is such an unreliable reporter and historian, we just don't really know what's true. And we don't have any physical evidence. So you've got missing kids that, like, as I said, technically we don't even know if they're deceased. And that's going to be very difficult, I think, for the prosecution.
Now, a bond hearing had been scheduled for yesterday. It was postponed to today, August 5th. And during that hearing, Felsen requested a gag order. The judge denied it, saying the case has already been in the news. He also told the court that he wasn't notified of Hoggle's indictment or arrest or, quote, in the way he should have been. Outside the courthouse, Felsen told reporters that he wasn't notified in advance that Hoggle was going to be arrested, said she was held at gunpoint by law enforcement at the new location where she's committed. He doesn't believe there is any new evidence against her. But Dr. Bober, this does raise a lot of interesting questions. First of all, number one, if she really did do something to her children, if she harmed her children, worst case scenario, how does someone do that?
Well, listen, if they're under the influence of psychosis or schizophrenia or a delusion, they are not in touch with any code of morality. They are doing something that they may even feel in their mind is justified to protect their children. As I said, using the Andrea Yates example, she killed her children because she believed that they were going to hell, and the only way to prevent that was to take their lives. So when someone has a serious mental illness and they see the world through such a distorted lens, all bets are off. We don't know what they will do, and it will not make any logical sense from our perspective what motivates that behavior, but to them it makes perfect sense.
And why do you think she was released from this treatment center? Any idea?
It's very strange, because if she's still under civil commitment, could it be that she was transferred to a lower level of care? Could it be that she was transferred to another facility? That's what's very puzzling to me.
If she was released and they're trying to talk to her and saying, look, you're facing very serious charges right now, maybe she is in a better place mentally to be able to provide information than she was years ago? Is that a glimmer of hope, maybe?
Well, just the fact that she was re-indicted, I have to believe that the prosecutor's office got some information that she was restored to competency. But again, if she was restored to competency, would she still be necessarily under civil commitment? Did they feel that maybe even though she was restored, that she was still a danger to the community and they wanted to keep close eyes on her and monitor her closely? There's a lot of facts we just don't know.
Dr. Bober, complicated case. Thanks for breaking it down. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.